And Jesus went to Nazareth where he had been brought up. And on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue as it was his custom. And he stood up to read. And the scroll of the prophet of Isaiah was handed to him. And rolling it, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom to the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favour." God has come to set you free today. God has come to bring breakthrough in your lives today. Satan does not want you to have it, but God is here to bring good news. Hallelujah. We are starting straight off, church. We are Pentecostals. We are going to act like it, and we are not going to back down because Satan wants us to have pride. We're going to step into all that God has for us. Amen. Hallelujah. We love you, Lord. Why don't you take the seats? Man, I was so hyped. So hyped. We were driving back from Birmingham last night, and just starting to live this stuff that I've been preaching and teaching. Even for myself, it's a bit difficult sometimes to start declaring victory when all you see around you is defeat. But we were driving in our car last night, coming down the road, and just speaking out, Satan, get out of my life. You will not have control over my finances. The Lord will have control over my finances because he is better than you, bigger than you, and he was before you. And he will be after you. Hallelujah. We've been looking at our breakthrough series, 3 stories in Acts, about the prison break and where God has been taking us. For those of you who are new to the series, I believe at the start of this journey, God said to me, I want you to talk on these 3 stories over these 3 Sundays, and on the last Sunday in November, I'm going to bring breakthrough to my people. And I said that to you guys in the first week of November, and by the end of the service, I had people going, I think this is true. I think this is what God's going to do. And then as we've gone through November, I think everybody's been getting a bit more going, God, you've been showing yourself to me more and more, and I believe that you're going to be good, and you're going to break this breakthrough. Hallelujah, that God is preparing us for what he wants us to be because we weren't ready. So he said, I'll take time, I'm going to bring you there, and he's going to bring breakthrough to us. God is good. We're going to be looking at Acts 16. We're going to be jumping a bit further on from where we were before. We're going to be looking at a very potent prison story of Acts. So it's Acts chapter 16. Verse 16, we're going to start about. So some time has passed from where we were before, where Peter and that were before these people, as we remember, he got nicked for preaching the gospel. They threw him in chains. And they said, don't do that or we're going to beat you up. So he said, jog on, do you know who my God is? I'm doing it anyway. They went, or else. And he went, all right then. Walked out and carried on. Didn't stop, not for a second, carried on. So he carried on preaching the gospel. Loads of people got healed and saved. And then they did the or else. They got him again. They locked him up. And at this point, they weren't going to give him an or else. They went, let's kill you. End of it, let's just kill you now. Somebody else steps up in their behalf and brings breakthrough into their situation and says, whoa, do you really want to fight God? That's a brave fight to pick. Isn't Satan nuts for trying to pick a fight with Jesus because he ain't going to win? But yeah, so he goes, do you want to pick a fight with God? And then they let him through and God brings breakthrough regardless of them saying there's no second chance we're going to kill you. How many of you guys know if the enemy threatens to kill you today, it don't matter? Because even if they threaten it, it doesn't matter. Because your eternal life is already secured in Jesus Christ. As Darren was bringing to us earlier, we've already stepped into victory. We've just got to start living it. Man, I'm so hyped for what God's got for us this week. So we look at these stories and then God says to me, I want you to jump ahead and I want you to look at this specific story. I'm going to look at the story of Paul and when he was in prison. And for those of you who don't know, Paul used to be Saul. And Saul used to beat Christians. He was one of these guys that would have beat up Peter. He was one of these guys that would have killed them, persecuted them. He goes through this mad moment where God says, why are you hurting me? How many of you guys know that you're the body of Christ? When Satan hurts you, he's trying to hurt Christ and Christ ain't going to have it. So Christ appears to Paul and says, you're no longer Saul, the guy that used to hurt me. You're not going to be Paul, the guy that proclaims me. So Paul goes out and he starts spreading the word of God. And he does this fantastic missions trip. He goes around and plants Uber churches everywhere. And he does this amazing work for God. And then he comes to his second attempt at a missions trip. He goes, okay, I need to go do more. And basically what happens is he goes, I'm going to go this way. And God says, no. And he goes, I'm going to go this way. And God says, no, you're not. And then he goes, I'm going to go this way. And God goes, seriously, you're going to wait for me to tell you which way to go rather than just trying to pick your own way? And basically what happens is instead of trying to go all these which ways he wants, he ends up in a place called Troas, and God leads him to Philippi, where we're going to join him in a minute as he gets into Philippi. And God appears to him and says in a dream, this is where you should go, you know. Hallelujah isn't always going to not walk in where God hasn't called us, but if we walk into where he's called us, nothing can touch us. If the door is closed, don't force it, guys. Because all you're going to do is get a headache from banging your head on the door. And this is where we're going to jump in verse 16, Acts 16, verse 16, we're going to jump in a second. And basically what happens is Paul lands here, and he comes by a river, and there's a lot of women washing clothes and chatting and having a meeting. And these aren't just random women, these are Jewish women. There's no synagogue in the city at this point. And these Jewish women there having a meeting, and there's this one particular woman called Lydia. And again, it's just things from the story that isn't the main point that I really want to bring to us because they're good points. And we could do hours upon hours of every verse. You know, hallelujah, on Monday was it when we spent an hour on one word, one verse? You know, there's so much depth in this Bible because it's alive. And he meets this woman called Lydia, and you know, she goes from being, because she's righteous in her heart, her house becomes a church. And it's this mad moment where she's like, I love God, can you not see that I'm righteous? And then the first church over there gets planted out of the house. Mental obedience to God and love for God. It doesn't matter what you've got because she's a woman. She's quite a powerful woman actually, to be honest, by the way it reads and all the history and stuff. She looks like she's a businesswoman. But she's a woman all the same. And yet, because she was honouring to God, the church was planted out of her house. Because her heart was good things happened. Isn't it good that God spent a couple of weeks preparing our hearts? Okay. Acts 16, verse 16. And as they were going to a place of prayer, a slave girl, having a spirit of divination, met us, and who was bringing her masters much profit by fortune telling. Following after Paul and us, she kept crying out, saying, these men are bondservants of the Lord Most High, who are proclaiming the way of salvation. She continued doing this for many days, but Paul, who was greatly annoyed, turned round and said to the spirit, I command you in the name of Jesus, so come out of her. And it came out of her that very moment. But when her masters saw that hope of profit was gone, they seized Paul and Silas, dragged them into the marketplace before the authorities, and when they had brought them out before the chief magistrates, they said, these men are throwing our city into confusion, being Jews and are proclaiming customs which are not lawful for us to accept or to observe, being Roman. It's interesting, isn't it, that Paul cast this demon out of this girl, not because of getting the demon out of this girl, but because he was annoyed at this girl blocking him. See, Paul's mission wasn't this individual girl. Paul's mission was to build a church. And this girl kept trying to get in the way of that. And out of his annoyance of what Satan was trying to do to disrupt it, he claimed victory and cast this demon out of this girl. See, our goal isn't to kick demons' asses. Right, I'm going to say asses in church, sorry, I'll tell them later. But you know, I'm so fed up with Satan having victory in people's lives when he doesn't deserve it. Our goal isn't to have a fight with a demon. Our goal is to build his kingdom and be his work and his hands and his feet. But when a demon gets in the way, we tell it to get lost because God has already got victory. It's okay to get annoyed at what Satan's doing in people's lives and around you, and to say, get out of my way, I'm on God's business. And then because they've started costing money, this girl was pretending to know all these futures. She was doing this evil thing. And what they did is because they were going around doing what God was doing, because this demon got stumped, because they're suddenly losing money, because God is doing what he wants to do, they put them in chains. Let's read on. 22. The crowd rose up together against them, and the chief magistrates tore their robes off them. And he proceeded to order to beat them with rods. When they had been struck with rods, with many blows, they threw them into prison, commanding the jailer to guard them securely. And he, having received such a command, threw them into the inner prison, and fastened their feet in stocks. But about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns of praise to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Wow, isn't it good we started with worship? Because we're about to find out the breakthrough comes when you start with acts of praise. He's in chains and he's worshipping. He's in the inner prison and he's worshipping. He's in the place where murderers go and he's worshipping. He's in a place that's so dark there isn't any daylight and he's worshipping. But Satan's going to tell you that because bread's gone up 5p and you're struggling financially, you can't worship. Man, let's live in victory. 25. But at about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns and praise to God, and all the prisoners were listening. And then suddenly came a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's chains were unfastened. When the jailer awoke and he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself, supposing the prisoners had escaped. But Paul cried out with a loud voice, "Do not harm yourself, for we are all here." And he called for lights and rushed in, trembling with fear. And before Paul and Silas, and after he brought them out, he said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" Isn't it incredible that when you ignore your chains, people who put you in chains are going to get saved? Victory is so good that it's not even that he came out of chains, it's the person that put him in chains is suddenly part of the kingdom and going, "I want to be saved." And this guy goes on to get baptised in a little while. We don't need to read that, but if you want to later on, then we can read on and see what happens with this guy and his family, and it's incredible. All because Paul and Silas decided not to act like they were in chains, but to act like they were in the kingdom of God. And this is the story I want to break down for you. I think God's got some things for us he wants us to understand and he wants us to look at. And I think one of the first things God wants you to look at yourself and ask, whether you are bound today, church, what is holding on to you? What is there that's chaining you up? What is there that's weighing you down? Are you bound, church, today? What is it that's stopping you from having free movement? What is it that's tying you down to a place? What is it that's tying you down to a thing? Because 100 of us will have 100 different issues. You know, some of us will have issues where X happens and, finances. So we'll have an issue where finances are hard. But that's not the chain. The chain isn't that there's no money in the bank. The chain is probably something that happened way before that. So there's a difference between the prison and the chain. And I think God wants you to know the difference between the prison and the chain today. Are you bound, church? So as they were praising and as they were worshipping, there's this great earthquake. And every lock and every chain came undone. And it makes you wonder, I love that song we were singing earlier, Jesus, the perfect sacrifice. And it's not because he's the perfect amount for your sin, it's that he's the perfect answer for everything. He is the key that fits all locks. He is the solution to every problem. It doesn't matter whether your issue is the way someone's treated you, whether the issue is, you've got an addiction, it doesn't matter whether the issue is that you've got insecurities. Jesus Christ is the answer for every problem. He is the perfect sacrifice. Doesn't matter whether you've got 100 sins, one sin, pretending like you've got no sin. Jesus Christ is the solution and the answer to your chain. But what we need to do is we need to get out of this idea that the prison is the chain. See, because Paul had this moment where the chains come off him, this wonderful moment where the chains break and everything falls away, and this wonderful moment. Actually, I wonder if you just sort that out for us. And I wonder if you notice what Paul doesn't do is as this chain falls away, he doesn't hold on to it. You know, the chain is no longer tied to me, but I can choose to hold this. I can choose to not let it go. I can choose to be chained to the chain, even if God's undone the lock. But also what he doesn't do is he doesn't drop the chain and run out of the prison. Because God didn't call him to be free from the prison, he called him not to be chained to the prison. There's a huge difference. God didn't call you to go live where unicorns run around and there's rainbows every day. He called it so you'd be free from that, but that you can be light in that. See, Paul's in a place of darkness, but he's no longer bound to darkness because he's bound to Christ. And he stops the geezer from killing himself and brings the geezer into the kingdom. God doesn't want you to get out of Moreland and go live in London on £150 million. He wants you to no longer be chained to the darkness of Moreland, so you can bring light to Moreland, because you're free of that and you're full of him. We need to get rid of our chains today, church. God wants to undo the locks. He wants to bring breakthrough, and he wants to get rid of this stuff so you can be unbound by your circumstance and you can be light in it. I truly don't believe that any of us are going to go from living where we are to mansions tomorrow. You know, don't get me wrong, it'd be nice. And you know, if God gives you £10 million tonight, remember to tithe your 10%. If you're really holy, you can be 50. And to be fair, if you're getting that sort of money, you need to, because you can get the tax breaks, don't you? I was in a shop yesterday and I was whinging about the queue. It was doing my head in. There was one person on the till, 500 people in the store waiting. I whinged about the queue going, flip me. This is why I do Amazon. I hate this. I'll tell you this, what proper grumpy old man when I go shopping. And somebody just turned to me, some random person, and went, yeah, but at least they pay their taxes, right? I was like, oh, am I going to take convenience over holiness? But Amazon Prime next day delivery. You know, and this is the problem, guys. We can pick unholiness because it's convenient, instead of choosing holiness, which is the right way, the proper way, the light that's going to stop people from killing themselves, because it's a little bit more difficult. You know, we're going to come into a moment soon where it's going to be uncomfortable for some of us. You get so used to wearing a chain, it'll leave a mark. It won't want to come away from your body. You get so used to being bound to stuff that happened to you as a kid. You know, how easy would it for me to be a mug to my wife when all I ever saw was my dad being a mug to my mum? How easy would it be to allow the prison of my life to bind me, so I start acting like a prison instead of acting like somebody who's free? It's easy to act like a prisoner when you're bound to it. Let's act like children of God. You know, some of you guys have stuff going on. I know that. You know, I'm blessed, me and Darren are blessed that we're in a position where you guys trust us to discuss stuff. Don't worry, I'm not going to start shouting over sinners. We'll keep that between me and you. But, you know, what's going on in your life now probably isn't the chain. There's probably a chain that's there from years ago that you've never dealt with, that's bound you to a method of thinking, a way of acting. And you need God to do some supernatural healing today. I'm not stepping away from the psychological. You know, we don't do that in that church. We don't deny the medical of the real. Some people need some counselling to deal with stuff. Nothing wrong with that. I know Darren, when we were at college, went, I'm going to go get chat counselling just in case, you know. And I went there and went, what? Sorry, Sharon Johnson. Man, that woman, she'd walk past you and, you know, she would call out your sin in public, mate. She'd be like, doing? And everybody would be like, oh, what a scumbag, and then she'd turn to them and go, you too? You know, the problem is she should make you feel loved that she was doing it, you know. And I believe that we're stepping into a moment together, church, a moment that's going to be so defining that we're going to look at this and go, oh, man, that stunk. That was uncomfortable. But I'm so blessed that Jesus took that chain off me. And in 6 months' time, when the wrist stops hurting because the wound's been allowed to heal, you're going to go, oh, God, I'm so glad you took that chain off me. Every time I go into school because I've been called because my kid's misbehaving, I can cope. Every time my kid looks at me and says, I don't want to be here, I can cope. Every time the voice of Satan comes into your life and says, you're not worth it, don't live anymore, take your life, everybody will be better without you, you can cope because you know the truth, because you're no longer bound to the prison. When people in school are telling you you're stupid for believing in Christ, you can go, shut up. Do you know who my God is? I'm not listening to your voice anymore. When you're at work and the people around you don't believe in the same things you do, and it hurts because every single day they're grinding on you, you can have victory because you're free from the prison. The circumstances have changed, but you're no longer tied to it. The world is full of you're not good enough. The world is full of you don't deserve anything nice. We have men in their thousands killing themselves every year. We have women unbelievably getting abused because they've been told they're nothing but meat. We have a society that is dark and is in the inner prison, and it's our duty to pray so we're not tied to it, so we can bring freedom. But we have to get the chains off our lives before we can shout out to the guards to say, don't kill yourself. I'm sick of being tied to stuff, and I'm talking about me now, I'm not talking about church, I'm talking about me. I'm sick of being tied to the hurt of my past that stops me from bringing healing to other people. For me, church, today is the last day. I'm not holding on to chains anymore because unholiness is more convenient than holiness. It is not easier to go, it's a lot easier to go and have a bottle of whiskey than it is to face up to the fact you probably shouldn't be drinking. It's a lot easier to go buy a lottery ticket to pretend that you might win something than it is to go flip, I better budget. It's a lot easier to go, my kids are messed up and it hurts me, than to go, maybe I need to deal with myself. It's a lot easier to pretend that everybody else in school is okay if I pretend to be like them. And I'm not looking at anybody saying you do this because I'm not out in school, I don't know what goes on, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Tangent, don't go on a tangent, stay on God. See, it's easier to go on a joke than it is to talk about holiness. Because sometimes it's a bit intense. But I really feel God's bringing us to a moment where all of these things are no longer going to matter. It's easier to be defined by your sickness than it is to be defined by God. You know, some of us are always going to be known as the person that's disabled, the person that's got this issue, the person that's got that. Oh, it's such and such that always rocks up in the jammies on a Monday at school and all of that. You know, people say stuff, they give us identities. What you don't want to do, church, is pick back up the chain because it's easier to know your identity in this than it is to know in Christ. It's hard to be told you're loved when you feel unloved. It's hard to be told you are worthy of stuff because you stand in His righteousness. It's much easier to just put this on yourself and go, I'm a scumbag. I don't deserve those things. This is who I am. God's going to do some super miraculous healing in people's hearts today. But we need to drop the chain, church. We need to step into what He's asked us to step into. There's two words for time in the Bible. One's chronos and one's kairos. And chronos is chronological time. Chronos, chronological. And it literally means the linear passage of time. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. And then there's kairos. And kairos is so much more wonderful. Church, I wonder if you know how wonderful kairos is. Kairos is the vertical time. The right now, this moment when God steps in. It's a moment when God takes hold. The kairos moment where time ticks across a little bit slower. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. But God seems to be doing so much more. Where 1 second turns into an hour because God and His Holy Spirit have stepped in. The kairos moment. That's where we're going in church. There's going to be a moment where God says, I'm stepping in. I'm taking hold. It's not going to be the passive time. It's going to be the momentous time where we meet with God. The right now, where God takes hold. Where God says, here's an earthquake in your life. A moment where the chains fall off. Where the doors open. Where you're free. I find it interesting that Paul could have run out of prison, but he didn't because he wanted to stay there and save someone's life. The option's there to run out, but I think we're called to better than that. I think we're called to stay and fight for people. I think we're called to be God's hands and feet. I think God wants a moment with you today. I think everything He's been doing has been leading to this moment of victory in your life. Whether you're 10 years old or 70 years old, it doesn't matter. Because God wants victory in your life today. And I'm sick of having to say it in my life. I'm sick of being bound to the ways of my past. You know, there's moments when people cut me up when I'm driving and I turn into the old me. You know, just for a split second where I'm just like, you're a mug, what are you doing? Slam the horn. Maybe I'm still bound in a small way to stuff that's happened to me, to the circumstances I was placed in. Maybe God needs to deal with that root cause for me. You know, I'm not an angry person, but maybe part of me's still got a bit of a chain because I like to be the guy that God brought out of darkness. So I hold on to that identity as a kid a little bit, you know. I was the kid that this happened to, and this happened to, and this happened. And oh, wasn't it awful? But look what God did. But to do the look what God did, I have to be sort of holding on to the darkness. Do you see what I'm saying? But how about we just forget that and just go, I'm a child of Christ. It doesn't matter how I got here. This is who I am. The darkness doesn't matter because I'm no longer bound to it. Glorious things don't really matter because all that matters is Him. I heard this story, church, of in Poland there was a church right next to a train station in 1944. And the Nazis had decided to step up the way they were going to kill the Jews. They decided to press further, faster, quickly because they were losing the war. They needed to get rid of the Jews quickly. And in this church, they were singing on a Sunday, and they could hear this train getting loaded up with the Jews. So what they decided to do is turn up the music and shout a bit louder so they could drown out the train. And then as it ramped up, more and more Jews got louder, and all they did is choose to ramp it up and get louder. And I'm saying to you, church, we can be better. We can drop the chain, and we can go out to the train and we can stop it. We can stop being bound to our circumstances and we can be light in darkness. We're going to respond to what God wants to do in our lives. We're going to respond to the fact that He wants to break off this stuff in you. In a moment, some worship's going to kick in and we're going to step into what God has for us. And we're going to step off the things that have bound us. Are you feeling what God wants to do in your life today? Who's been heart God speaks to the heart. You know, it'd be easy as well now to just go, okay, I'm going to leave before this bit quickly go. Oh man, God wants so much more for you. So as we step into worship and as we praise and as we do that, I would call you to step to the front. Whatever that looks like, just come forward as a response of, you know, there's a response of dropping the chain. We can't do that. So, actually, yes, we can. This is what you're going to do. Even if we have to kill to do it, I think the spiritual and the representation is you're going to come up here and you're going to drop the chain. You're going to say, God, enough. Today's the day that I step into you and I want to drop the chain. Nobody's looking at you, nobody cares, everybody's dealing with their thing, they're all looking at themselves going, flip me, that hurts. Everybody's in their own moment. But if you want to step free today, then come forward and drop the chain. God wants to break it, we've got to let go. There's a kairos moment right now, people, where God is in this building and he wants to do some heart surgery. He wants to do some work on you. As we step into a new season as Ignite, let us not be the one person that's still there chained. We'll love you anyway, don't worry. But man, wouldn't it be awesome if you were? So when we stand, as we start looking towards our worship, get ourselves in a place where we go, God, all I am is who you've called me to be. Nothing else matters. When we get to a place where we're saying, I'm no longer bound by my circumstance, but I am bound to you, Jesus. I'm not going to stand by and let my comfortable use of Amazon stop me from being holy. I'm not going to stay comfortable where our world is marching its way to hell and stand by because it's more comfortable for me to stay in the same spot and I've got used to the chain. God is going to break your chains today, church, because he's declared victory when he went to hell, kicked Satan's teeth in and said, death has no hold on you. But today is the day where you have to drop the chain, where you have to step into what he's got for you, where you have to say, okay, God, I'm done as well. No more is that going to hold me. No more am I going to be bound to a prison. I'm going to bring light into my prison. People are not going to kill themselves around me because I'm going to bring your glory. I wonder, church, are you ready to drop the chain? Are you ready to step into all that God has for you? Won't we back this all the way up and then let's just praise, and then as you need, step forward, drop the chain, we're going to pray for you.